time's the charm, right? And hopefully the last time, because I only want to make one video on this subject. Yes, it kind of ties into your content on my channel because I thoroughly believe what you put in and around your body matters, and the kind of content, the way that you absorb other people's ideologies and that also affects you mentally as well as cellularly on every level. Your thoughts affect you. So when it comes to somebody like Musk, I'm going to just dive into a little bit of, and after we talk about his actual inventions, we're going to talk about the things that I believe make him a person of ill character. Hey, Martin, thanks for always joining. I'm doing well today. How are you doing? Once again, I have a half an hour and I rarely have the house to myself. I'm home alone, like never hardly ever happens. So it's nice to be able to sit down and chat with you guys, hopefully. So disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. I don't care if you want to worship Elon Musk yourself. I'm not necessarily to dissuade anybody from doing that. What I'm trying to do is create some content for people who are like-minded on the same path. I know from experience, it's nice to see somebody reiterate something I've been feeling in my heart and feel a little more sane in this crazy world. And if you don't have a good feeling about Musk, it's probably because you have some discernment about people. And if you do really adore him and like him, I'm not trying to change your mind, okay? And somebody yesterday said it was narcissistic for me to do this. I agree. I feel narcissistic when I make YouTube videos. It feels wrong on a certain level like that. But then I think about all the creators that I enjoy listening to and watching, and I never look at them and think, you're so narcissistic. How dare you content? Like, so if you are thinking about making YouTube content, it really is worth the time, in my opinion. It encompasses so much. It's like a good hobby to get into, and it can only help you to further your technological anyway in today's age. So anyways, if Elon is an innovative futurist who will save the whole world, or is he a con man who sells false promises and feeds off the power that comes with having so many resources? So starting off with, people claim, and he's some big inventor. He invented Zip2, which was basically putting businesses' info online, the precursor to Google Maps. And then a payment system which began to be used for PayPal shortly after, which he was kicked out of that company because that's how much people at PayPal liked him. And I know, like, it's something to note, but at the same time, like, there's so many people that have the internet in those ways that we don't hear the names of. And it was basically sequence steps in the process of our society going online that would have happened anyways. It's not like he literally invented a light bulb. And it it is something that people say about Tesla a lot. He didn't invent the car, he didn't invent the name for the company. He put his name as a founder after it was founded. And in my opinion, that's very narcissistic. It lends a lot to what I'm talking about, what his character is. And his eyes went from practical, like businesses' information being put online, to payment systems that are simplified to be able to make payments on the internet. Two ideas, like when he faced X with the intentions of colonizing Mars one day. And the more you listen to him speak and hear all the false promises he has sold, it isn't that any one of us put in this position could sit around and think about ideas all day that really rarely come to fruition. Hi, Mohammed. How are you doing today? And how are you doing? Oh, thanks, Matt. So once again, the disclaimer, if you're an Elon Musk fan, that's fine with me. I'm just trying to make content for people who are on the same path. So I got some trolls yesterday. I lashed out at somebody and told him he was idolizing Musk because he didn't have a good dad in his life. And a lot of lost souls are seeking something in men that they need to find in God. They need faith in God and a higher power. And with so many people nowadays, like Titus Morris, I make content that I have it right now on my channel about a man, Severage, who ate raw meat, and the people that followed him, it was the same thing. You put these people on a pedestal, literally nothing they do can, that should never be a thing, except for with your own father, if you were lucky enough to have a good father. That should be the only man that you look up to and idolize and look as your hero no matter what he does, even if he does two Yahtzee salutes right in front of your face. And that, yes, I do believe those were Yahtzee salutes. I don't know how intentional it was. I think it might have been something that was kind of subconscious. It's a lot about him, right? Kind of sounds like a grandson of people who moved to apartheid South Africa so they could be around segregated people because they liked that and they wanted. They moved from Canada. Canada, a place so many people would love to live in. They moved from Canada to South Africa, Elon Musk's grandparents, because they wanted to be in a place where people were segregated. And I know you didn't like automatically label, you shouldn't pay for the sins of your grandfathers, but it just goes hand in hand when he's up there on stage doing Yahtzee salutes, right? It would be easy to take basically an infinite amount of money, which is what because at this point, he can call any number of people and get like hundreds of millions to fund any he wants to. It would be easy for us to just say, oh, this sounds like a cool idea. I'm going to promise this to people. I'm going to take money from them. Not only does he sell, like he literally is selling false promises. He's not just saying, he is taking people's money for deposits on these false promises and never delivers. It keeps happening over and over again. And I wonder why people are so okay with putting our, government in his hands, which I get it. I don't my bed is messy. It in a our debit listen to me, our deficit is bad, unsustainable. Something had to happen. Somebody had to go in there and make a lot of changes. But I don't believe that it should be somebody who is gaining government contracts at the same time. That's a complete contrast. I don't like that. I don't care how much you want to put him on a pedestal. That is wrong. It would be wrong if anybody on the left was doing it. And I do this a lot, like, in conflicts with my husband. Like, put yourself in their position, switch the roles. Like if this was, a man doing this, would it be okay or would it be looked at as not okay? And I do that, in this case. Would it be okay for me on the left to have a billionaire friend of theirs come in and not get the security checks? Like I know somebody that just works with government contracts. They don't work for the government. Security clearance they had to go through just to be able to do government contracts with our government, as they should, rightfully so. And then we've got like the world's biggest teen and 20-year-olds. And I understand technology is very important to keep up to date. I'm not saying there are no good people out there in tech that are 19, 20 years old, but like, come on, don't tell me the best of the best is are 19 and 20. They're clearly making mistakes, which we all do. We're all human, but the way they're coming like with a wrecking ball, meanwhile gaining government contracts. Just think about if Jeff Bezos did the same thing and like Amazon was getting government contracts while he's cutting off services for people in need. And it creates this divide. It's part of the conquer and divide. The way he says parasite class, like once again, I get it. I've never been eligible for food stamps. There have been times in my life where I feel a little slighted, like we should be eligible, like in between jobs, and we could never get any help when we really truly needed it. But it also opened my eyes to the fact that you have to be so exceedingly monetarily poor, and like your car can't be like $3,000 or $4,000, stuff like that, like in order to qualify for those things. And I think a lot of people would rather not be born into such impoverished situations that it is difficult for them to get out of. Like the statistics prove, if you are born into a family that doesn't own a car, you're highly less likely to ever own a car yourself. And I know that probably plays into like a lot of big cities, but like it's just people can't help what they were born into. And this pull them up by the bootstraps mentality. Look at this billionaire. He did it when he used $50,000 of his father's ill-begotten money. That's what he said, ill-begotten money from emerald mines, where I'm sure they didn't treat workers very fairly in South Africa, in like the 60s, 70s. And it's once again, it's easy to see why his facilities have such a bad safety record. Look at where he's coming from. These people teach their children how to be like them. And he turns around and says his dad isn't a very good person. Well, he seems to be making like some of the same mistakes, having babies everywhere. I'm not even getting into the baby making thing that much. I think that kind of speaks for itself. I don't care who you are. Most people, the only people that are like, yeah, that's okay, are people that really don't get how important it is to have the father at least present sometimes. And the way he favors one child, like that to me speaks of his character. If he really cared about can be favoring one child above them all so much, because it's his doppelganger, mini me. He's such a narcissist. And watch, as soon as that boy gets old enough to have a mind of his own and form his own opinions and go grain sometimes like everybody does with their parents, he's not going to be so cute. He's not going to be taking him off, showing him off anymore, because that's what narcissistic parents do. Mark my words. It might be around the age of 8. It might be a little bit later than that. Ask me how I know. It's like he claimed to be an engineer. He doesn't have an, and he didn't go to school engineer. There was a doctor in the chat yesterday berating me. Would that doctor, legit doctor, because they might be doing this themselves, would that doctor, if they're a legit doctor, want somebody else to call themselves a doctor who does not have a PhD or medical degree? Somebody on here, YouTube, he calls himself Doctor something. He talked about COVID a lot. He has a PhD in philosophy and he calls himself doctor and talks about medical issues. And a lot of people are under the impression that he's a medical doctor. Now, he was a nurse, okay? But still, he puts that doctor title, talking about medical things, talking about being a nurse. He knows that people are going to misconstrue it and think he's a legit medical doctor. And I think these things are, I can't remember his name right now. He was very pro what Ace, oh my God, I can't even talk. Vaccine, I'm mispronounce it wrong because I've seen other people do that. The new vaccine that came out like 5 years ago, he was very pro, and then he made a 180 and completely changed his thoughts and his content. Engineer when you're not. I think it's a form of like stolen valor. It's not right to say you're something because you did it for a company that you funded. That I made for years. That's like me calling myself an engineer because I made weighted blankets. I figured out ways to make different weights and sizes. And like, does that make me a certified engineer? No, no. And I would never call myself that. And if I did, people would see through it right away, as they should. But for some reason, when you have $1 billion, you can get away with anything you want. And that says it all about our society, how sick we are, and why we're on a downward spiral. You know, people, I often think this, like, who's really smarter? Who's the smartest? The men putting like thousands of chemicals into use into our environment without testing, the men offing us, the men creating less testosterone for each generation in these developed countries because we're exposed to so many disruptors. The men that know in a few decades, like barely anybody is going to be able to get pregnant naturally, in my opinion, in this trajectory. Those the smartest, are they so much smarter than people who have always lived off the land? Because in my opinion, like I think animals have an innate intelligence we don't have. They're not each other. Yes, they're not obviously on the same level because they're not creating societies and religion and whatnot. But in a way, aren't they smarter because literally ruining the planet? I'm sorry. I feel like my nose is like about to drip. And you prop up these people that basically are like megalomaniacs that only care about slapping on the next patent or innovation, invention, to be known in the history books as somebody who saved America. Because people like this do write history. We're in this age of information where like we can let that not happen. And rightfully so. I'm saying that a lot. So I highly disagree with him calling himself an engineer. He is our modern Edison. Okay, I just said that. He is taking a lot of other people's ideas, in my opinion, and using them as his own. He said that no good engineers wanted to work for SpaceX. He said that no good engineers wanted to work for SpaceX, and there's no use in hiring any bad ones. So he became the chief engineer, self-taught. Okay, so these bad engineers that were actually educated, what made that compared to somebody who like taught himself aerospace engineering through books? I do believe that you can be self-taught on a number of subjects, but I think this is one area where no, you shouldn't. And like his first three, I think, was it two or three launches failed. And he said, if I was an actual engineer, they probably wouldn't have failed. Like a brief moment of humility. And still somehow coming from a place of big ego, like he can admit to people, like he can be a big F up, but he's still the best. He's still the smartest. How much waste happened because of that? And he tries to like play it off like he's helping the government like not get marked up. I don't believe that he saw the cost of rockets and thought I need to step in and help. I believe he saw the cost of rockets and thought I need to get in on this. I will say his brain is a little messed up, and I'm glad he helped those astronauts. Okay, James, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad he helped them too, but in my opinion, it was for good PR. And I understand he did reach out and try to help them during the Biden administration. I remember that. But he's doing it now because his stocks are plummeting. He didn't make priority like he made like all these other things a priority when he got whatever position he has that they refuse to divulge. Doesn't that say a lot to you? I don't like how they won't say his title is. That's not good to me. And the explosions from the failed rockets cause air pollution. Exactly, J-memes. So these people that like claim he's making billions off of our tax dollars and our tax subsidies. That's how he made his fortune mostly, was off of the $10,000 per Tesla that his company gets. Like, it well, it causes people, to get more of a profit from their cars, which, in my opinion, from my research, they're not the best of the best electric cars. And people try to act like he's made the absolute best electric cars when they're simply not. And now let's get into things that, like, I used to like him more. Like when he bought Twitter, I liked him. I had never had Twitter and I joined it. And honestly, I felt like it was such a cesspool. And there was one girl that I followed for years, blonde in the belly of the beast here on YouTube. I adored her. I really liked her. Yeah, the Cybertruck does look like a trash can, James. I'm glad you're back, and I'm sorry for lashing out at you yesterday. I sincerely felt bad about that, and I know that we're all fighting our own battles. So, like, when I got offline, I was just thinking what that person's going through, and I'm sorry for being mean to you. So, I'm really glad you're back. And let's get into what I believe shows this poor character of his. He started developing an idea for an underground transportation system in 2013, and it still doesn't exist. He made all these promises to connect LA to San Francisco, or to at least have downtown LA, so be able to, help with the horrific traffic. I've never experienced it myself, but I've heard about the traffic in LA. And he just promises year after year, next year, next year. It comes to fruition. The only thing close is this tunnel, like in Las Vegas, connecting to hotels or convention centers or whatever. And it looks like something from the 1970s. It is not this high transportation system using a vacuum. That would be so hard to use. That would be so hard to create. One creator on here, I think it was Thunderfoot, had a really good video about it, how like one pinprick, one needle prick, like lost pressure in that tunnel, and it wouldn't work right. So that would be extremely hard to build, let alone make. And he promised full self-driving mode within a year on his Teslas in 2016. He's charging people for it, and it still isn't a thing. He's charging this. I've had this happen so many times in my life. One time I was just a little confused because I haven't looked at him like that before. No, well, that's why I'm glad you're here. That's why I am making this content. So hopefully, like, help people see why people, even if you don't agree to not like him, you can see other people's perspective. Hopefully, it helps in some way. Like, that's how I feel about politics. I can always see the side that I don't agree with, even if I don't agree with them. You know what I mean? I can understand where they're coming from because I have different experiences and perspectives. So he's been promising full self-drive mode, still hasn't happened. And like he started to promise robo taxis in 2019 that they would exist now, I believe, in 2025. No, okay, just next year. And there's other companies that have better technology with self-driving. So he's actually employing it. And like he's still promising something that he obviously can't deliver on because he can't do the self-driving mode in his own. He's taking money from people. Okay, I was going to tell a story. We were a part of a homeschool gym class, and I realized they were charging me like 3 times too much each week, and they had charged a few dollars, and I went to them, I was like, "Please, I need this charged back," and they kept begging me to just, like, look at it as a credit. We had just bought our first house. I was like, "No, you've gotta give me that money back. We need that money back." And then so we were in a group on Facebook, me and all the moms in there, and I said, "Just to give you guys a heads up, like, they were owing me, and I wanted to let you know so you could look at your bank statements." Every single mom was, like, more than 6 or 7 or 8. It was like a dozen people. Every single one had a story about how that gym owner was overcharging them. And every single one acted like it was just some coincidence. And you know why? Because she was related to a famous person, in my opinion. The owner of the related to a famous person. And because of that, everybody in town is going to bow down to them, let them get away with whatever they want to. Because if you're attached to money, all of a sudden morals don't matter. I don't get it. I really don't get it. The Cybertruck was promised to be bulletproof and to be able to tow more than an F-150 by 2021. And when it came out in 2023, it neither. Do you guys hear my dog barking? My dog has issues. He's a guardian breed or half guardian breed. Will somebody let me know if you can hear him barking? Because I don't want to get up and leave and tell him to stop unless you guys can hear it. So I believe the mailman just came again. In 2016, Musk claimed humans will be put on Mars by the mid 2020s, and we're close to that. So after in how much can the truck you built care? Okay, Uber. Yeah, actually, you have no idea who you're talking to. I do work in manufacturing. So, um, it's pretty funny. In 2016, it claimed humans would be on Mars by 2020. And like, it would be possible to get humans to Mars in like 9 months, but the infrastructure to get everything we would need to successfully live and have a society on Mars is hundreds of years away. It would take so much to take every single thing we need to actually live on Mars, and people would be sacrificing this. And It's just something that I feel like thank you, Martin. I'm so glad you said that. I'm just gonna let him do his thing. Let him think he's guarding me. So, Neuralink, the brain chip company founded by Musk and seven others in 2016, began human trials, and they had like one update in January 2024, nothing since. They said this person can move a mouse with their brain, but that's something that people have been able to do for like a while anyways, using the computer technology. About 6 months ago, he claimed they will have an electric motorhome, an RV, for under $17,000. Just like he promised a $30,000 Tesla sedan. I believe it's a Model 3. It was made, but it's basically impossible to find because it's like he says these things he knows sounds real good. And if he does deliver on them, he half ASS, and it is like just so he can say that he did it. And I believe that is what will happen with these RVs. If they're ever made, there's going to be like 100 or 400. I can say, yeah, Tesla did make this RV for 17,000, but you can't make a car for 35,000. Doesn't make sense to me. You are right. I bet you guys use way better fuel for your space rockets. Yeah, well, I don't believe that I'm God, and I don't believe that spending money on space exploration when people are literally starving to death. And if people, Elon Musk, had actual ethics and morals, there would be nobody wanting anything in this world, at least little innocent children. They don't care. They hoard wealth and resources. You can worship billions that hoard wealth and resources and actually stop advancement from happening. Nigerian girl invented a generator that runs off human urine. Look it up, Google it. Nigerian girls human urine generator. And like the Nigerian girls is in most of it. Like we don't even know this is true innovation, and you won't hear of it. Just like the guy that invented a car that ran off of water. And if you know that story, it's obvious that somebody had him off. Like true innovation doesn't come to fruition, at least for the masses, at least for us in the public. James, did I see your message? I think he has these ideas and then hasn't prototyped it yet and starts doing projects after he says he promises it, and it takes him a lot longer and can't. Okay, yes, I agree with you. That's probably what's going on. Like, but why would the world's best, smartest man, genius do that? Why can't you plan better? And at least, like I have seen him made a few jokes, like, I get the numbers wrong often, but like one is none of us could get away with this. None of the rest of us could get away with what I believe is saying several times, kind of like the Tesla semi trucks, which were supposed to revolutionize shipping. They're carrying potato chips, probably because they can't have bigger loads than what would be heavier than a load of potato chips, in my opinion. And they were supposed to be 50,000 of those semis built in the year 2004. Right now, there's about 100 of them operating on the road. So I highly doubt that they actually built 50,000 because it was another one of those things that a lot of people put deposits down on, expecting for him to deliver on his promises, and he didn't. And apparently, I've heard mixed things, like people get their money back or people do, but it's really hard, or some people never get their money back. He claims to know more than anybody alive about manufacturing, and if this was true, he isn't putting it to good use because OSHA released his numbers for SpaceX's manufacturing and launch facility in Brownsville, Texas, for 2023, and they reported 5.9 injuries per 100 workers when the industry average is 0.8%. 0.8% per 100 workers compared to 5.9 injuries per 100 workers. And get this, there's an estimated 600 injuries that were unreported, including limb crushing, amputation, and one unaliving. Somebody was unalived at a SpaceX facility and they didn't report it. And I'm telling you, a whole facility mourned that person's unaliving for a long time. They probably still are. No, that wasn't an accidental, I forgot to report that unaliving. They did the purpose. The corruption is bad and it runs deep. And this is a person with our government, our information, all of our information, because you want to. I get it. It's something had to happen. I was glad Trump won. I didn't want Kamala to win, but I feel like the pendulum's swinging way too far in the other way. Like it needed to swing, but it didn't need to go this far. Yeah, gas powered is definitely better than his cars because an F-150 can carry twice the load. Right, and you'll end up using more electricity. Like, I know gas cars is a nice thought, but, like, where do you think the electricity comes from? It comes from all these coal-powered towns, and anyways, I know somebody that drives an electric car that's not a Tesla, and they're, like, getting harassed. It's just it's silly. Don't let the honker get to you and make you so negative. I really do feel empowered knowing and seeing billionaires like him. Like, he's not happy. He's proof money doesn't buy you happiness. He has anybody could ever want or need resource-wise, and he still wastes of his time arguing on the internet when he has over a dozen kids he should be mentoring, he should be spending time with. And it's like obvious to me he is a happy person. And he probably, I think a lot of what's going on lately might be the ketamine use. Who knows what else? And it is sad. Like, he probably did have a better head on his shoulders before that. And I understand, like, microdosing with these things, like psilocybin, can really be helpful and beneficial. And I'm not trying to say that I don't believe in that at all, but something's definitely not right in the buttermilk. If Elon cared about the future for the sake of people, it would be a priority to make his safety record better. And it's only gotten because in 2022, it was 4.8 per 100 people. And so it went 5.9 per 100 people. There is no excuse for the smartest man in the world to have such a bad safety record in one of his manufacturing facilities. None. People pass away manufacturing and shipping goods we all hand to use. People work long hours in warehouses, and it leads to burnout, and injuries tend to more. And a lot of injuries aren't reported because when you work that kind of physical job, you suck it up. You don't go every time you bruise your knee and tell them about it, even though they tell you they want you to. I work for Amazon, and they don't care about people. The larger the corporation, the worse the benefits. The longer it is, benefits. I work for a better, smaller company now, and great benefits on day one. If they can do that, Walmart can. If they can do that, Amazon can. And it really opened my eyes to these things. They're not good for any of us. You like it's no, it's not true. Oh, they give all their jobs. No, that's not. They don't give good benefits. And in this day and age, if you're going to work a job like that, you need some benefits. You need health care if you're using your body to make your money in a physical kind of way in a factory. And it's a shame what happens to so many people that literally are like the cogs and the wheels that make all of our society run and get everything that we need to us. Yeah, I think electric cars are cool, but still doesn't save from pollution. Well, but I gotta go to the info. Oh, Jane Memes, thank you so much for being who you are and being open and receptive. You're an example for other people, really, and I appreciate you a lot. And this is why I like doing YouTube content. You know, some people might not understand it. I think a lot of you probably do. Elon says he works 120 hours a week. Like, couldn't see, like, this is still a thing. I saw a video that was made last week talking about how he works like 90 to 120 hours a week. I understand the startup of a business, but I also don't think he's a demigod because of it. Any one of us, 6 figures to start a business, we could probably sleep on our desk for a few weeks, a few months too. A lot of us would do it if given the opportunity. It doesn't make him special. Wealthy people have to create the illusion of hard work. Your coworker got crushed. Your coworker got unalived. Well, Elon had to sleep on his desk. And all these influencers like Ballerina Farms, like wealthy people want to come from struggle. They want to struggle like you because it is the human condition to toil, work hard in the sun. We are meant to struggle. That helps us grow. Like a torn muscle gets stronger. You can't grow when you're literally handed every single thing your whole life. And this is why I've seen many mental health professionals say that people raised with a silver spoon in their mouth actually need a lot more therapy than people realize. It's like they struggle with the fact that they didn't have to struggle. And it's really apparent in all these online influencers. They just want so badly to be like the rest of us. They want to have to work hard for their money because it is a good feeling. It is great. And when people say I'm jealous, it just seems to me that like even if I was on the opposite of the spectrum, I would be one of those rich people that like wanted to work hard. I'd still be gardening a lot. I'd still be like working hard. So I really don't that big of a difference. We want beautiful scenery, good food, time with our family. Like that's what already. I have really good nutritious farm food cheaper than I ever could buy it before in Florida or Indiana. And the most beautiful scenery, it, like literally like brings tears to my eyes, even in the dead of winter when things are mostly dead. And I really do like what who was it? Notorious B.I.G. More money, more problems. It's true. The people I know that have more money are like very stressed out. They're not happy individuals, and it's never enough. Well, when I did have a successful business, I did give 10% away. So I do tell God and the universe, like, you know, if I have excess again, I will do that again. And I think if more people had ethics, like Costco CEO used to only take like 10 of the bottom paid workers wage, and they have upped that. They do pay their CEO more in the recent years, but they're a testament too to how a company can actually treat their employees and the kind of synergistic atmosphere that loves Costco, that's a member of Costco. And this is so intellectually dishonest. Good luck over Elon, dude. I hope it pays off for you. Okay, all right. Intellectually dishonest to list off the literal lies that he said. Some people's cognitive dissonance is great that they have no God in their life. So they put people like Elon Musk pedestal, and anybody that rocks that pedestal is all of a sudden the evil one to them. Meanwhile, he's made billions of dollars off of our tax dollars. Now he's going into the government to cut the waste as he's getting government contracts. Anybody on the left did this, you all would be able to see it. Get your heads out of the sand and see it for what it is. It's corruption. It's corrupt. As soon as I saw Trump with the billionaire CEOs behind him, like, okay, like, balls to the wall. He knows this is it for him, his final term. And it's all about him and his buddies because this country is set up for business owners. And that's a great thing if you're a business owner. It's a great thing if you're a South African immigrant, overstayed his visa, like Elon Musk. And you can swoop in, and I will give him credit. Like, it was innovative and it was smart of him to get in on these industries, like when he did, while he did. But a lot of us, given the same opportunities in life, would be able to do the same. And it's so similar to Bill Gates, how he stole DOS, the operating system that made him so great and made him a billionaire, basically. Just like how Mark Zuckerberg stole Facebook from other people. Like, Elon swooped in there and bought a car company that he wanted so badly for people to think he started. Part of the contract, the sales contract, was that he had to be named as a founder. If all of that is enough to like make you think I'm the intellectually dishonest one, billionaires brainwashing is working. And like, I'm a part of the surf class, just like you are too, most likely, if you're watching this. And people are starting to wake up and see there's only so much they can siphon off of the rest of us. And their methods are unsustainable. So you want what you don't have. People with curly hair want straight hair. People with straight hair want curly hair. And I just want to repeat it again. Wealthy people, especially people born wealthy, they want to act like average, hardworking people. They want so badly to be like us. Keep it in mind when you're struggling going to work. Like, even if you were given $1 billion, you'd still want to go to work, most likely. I'm saying, like, it just seems like a human condition thing. Like, I'm not above it. That would probably happen to me too. And I want to end on this. I already said if every person with massive wealth helped, nobody wanting for anything in this world, there'd be no kids starving to death. Yes, Elon Musk could help with the infrastructure in his homeland. He doesn't care because he's probably like his grandparents. He moved there because they liked the segregation. They wanted it. There's little kids dying from falling into pits they dig for their waste, and he could help to offer some communities. And just like over Acon has for years now, there are people that care, that do turn around and try to do real actual good with their money, and we don't platform those people. We don't worship those people because that's all part of the satanic game. And I honestly believe when Trump had billionaire CEOs behind him, some kind of Freemason satanic BS, like a humiliation ritual for us, like shoving it in our face. Look, it's all about us. And like, it's clear as day to me that's what's happened since. Where's the no taxing overtime? That would be for me. That would be so huge for me. I would make hundreds of dollars more each month if Trump would follow through on like some of his promises. And like, I don't expect any politician to follow through on their promises. So I wasn't sitting here waiting for that. But it's a lot that I think people are putting into the hands of wrong people, right? Once again, don't have faith in that. Have hope. That helps get you through the day. I get it. But I want to end it on this. If he really had Asperger's, which he's not been formally diagnosed with, why doesn't he try to help others on the autism spectrum? It's all about him, him, him. Even when he's talking about something like that, and people want to say he's so brave and remarkable for being the first person to like announce it on SNL or something. No, I think he has some comorbid personality disorder, in my opinion. And it's like my earring is clicking against the, I hope that didn't come through. And this explains his bad behavior. On the spectrum are less likely to commit violent acts. They're, in my opinion, less likely to do, like, he wouldn't be trying so hard. People with Asperger's wouldn't lie about being the number one or number two game player of a 5G computer game. They wouldn't care to. He definitely some quirks, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of it has to do with like just being socialized so drastically differently. And he wants so badly to fit in. We all want to fit in. We all want to be part of the in crowd. That's just part of what makes us social beings and humans and what we've been conditioned to do. And when we don't get that, we're more likely to pass away when we aren't a part of it. So it's very hardwired in us. And I guess I'm going to end on this. The wealth divide has grown so much more since the 2020 panini, when they decided that mom and pop businesses couldn't stay open. Mean corporations could. There's no free market capitalism anymore when the government decides that there's no market and some people just can't participate in it. It's gotten out of control ever since then. Because of that, started the domino effect of the wealth divide and growing and growing. It's simply unsustainable. There is only so much they can siphon off of. I just want to say that one more time. The more of us that take ourselves out of the system, the better. And one way we can do that is by being simple, is by growing our food. If you can't grow food, support your neighbor, your farmer that does, and take money out of their pockets every way possible. Average American farmer is 60 years old right now, and in the next 20 years, there will be more exchange of farmland taking place in our young country than ever before. And I thoroughly believe with all my one way we can make a difference is by focusing on farming, focusing on better farming practices because monoculture, barely rotating crop, soy, corn, that's not even real crop rotation. It's destroying topsoils and it's unsustainable. We need to make some corrections that a lot of these white men made. And I know what that sounds like 6 years ago. I wouldn't think I'd be that, but it's true. It's the white men that have ruined the planet, literally ruining everything for all of us so they can make an extra buck. And then they want to cosplay like they're hard workers like us that just need to make an buck so bad. And as well as proprietorship of the land, stewardship for our land, it will provide healing for us in the land. And that is imperative right now. The process of large animals eating and defecating while trampling foliage needs to take place again to restore our pastures, our farmland. Permaculture farms are what is needed so much. On top of this, my number one, what I would like to see happen in the government, lobbyists out of the government. Stop letting other corporations decide our laws for us. Because when I saw RFK Jr. speak in 2012 and he told us to be nice to pharma, he catches more flies or whatever, and they don't run the government. The corporations run the government. Nothing's going to really, really change until we stop letting lobbyists control so much of what's happening in DC. Zane, well, I think that Trump was the better option, and I was glad that Trump won the 2 times that he did. But, 2 things can be true. I don't agree with what's going on. I think that if anybody on the left, this is akin to like Bezos coming in during Biden's administration and doing everything that doing and gaining government contracts. I think there's a conflict of interest, and if he was really ethical, he would at least like stop gaining the government contracts. And if you care to, I already listed off all the things that Elon Musk has already lied about, and it's obvious to me that like I know you're joking and saying it in a facetious way, but like people aren't do any better until they stop worshiping people, especially corrupt people like Elon Musk who only care about money. And it is the root of all the love is the root of all evil. It really sincerely is because all this, how it justifies everything. There was a woman who slept with 100 men in one day. It's justified because she makes a lot of money. If she didn't make any money off of that, and she wasn't making good money on OnlyFans while doing something like that, it would be more obvious to more people how disgusting it is for everybody involved. Why does money make things okay that aren't okay? Okay, I've got to go now. I hope you guys have a day, and thank you for hearing me out. Jay Means, once again, was a great example of how like we can listen to each other. If you don't agree, that's fine, but you can at least understand, and it might help you not be so frustrated. Like understand where people are coming from. Don't agree with them. Take care.